All right, now we are on to part 3 of Taken Abroad. We're going to do chapter 4 and chapter 5. If you remember yesterday, or last time, we left off with the great wisdom of if it weren't for mothers, this world would be a hard place to live in.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Pretty difficult, actually.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think this is when we see the romance between Aaron and Pablo or whatever his name, Paul. You see the romance between Aaron and Paul like really kick off here. So
Awesome.
just like anything else, Lauren can't even write what a normal friendship looks like because he doesn't know what that is. So he just writes like a gay love.
It's
It's so
perfect.
beautiful. Because, as we all know, Lauren ain't gay and he ain't bi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get our YouTube crap out of the way. Like and subscribe. Paco's going to just very quickly read off our links.
Rumble and Spotify are under Magnum Pop Pie. YouTube is Paco Pete's.
Paco Pete's.
Paco Peep Pot Pies. Wow. Okay. Links for everything will be in the description, as well as Discord and
Ko-Fi?
Ko-Fi. Paco Peep.
Yeah, Ko-Fi is Paco Peep.
We're fancy now.
Yeah, we're fancy. Donation.
I bet Lauren's pissed.
Oh, yeah. Donations are appreciated, never required. We think it would be hilarious especially to get some donations on Taken Abroad. We've already gotten one or two. I'd say we're halfway. We've probably made as much money on Taken Abroad now as Lauren did. so like, I would love to just be able to send Lauren a letter and say, "Hey, Lauren, we made more money on your stupid book than you did."
Oh, Christmas card.
Oh yeah, Christmas. Yeah, Lauren
Or
was
birthday.
Card. Yeah,
birthday,
his birthday card. Yeah, his
Yeah.
birthday card.
Okay.
Anyway, that's our YouTuber crap out of the way. Let's get into the great American novel, the greatest story ever told.
All right. Well, no, I thought you said The Creature was that.
The Creature's good, but I haven't found the transcript of it yet.
All right.
I found a link where someone had made like a Dropbox for it, but the link was expired. So yeah, I'm gonna keep looking for The Creature.
We'll find it.
I know it exists, and we will find it.
All right.
Okay, chapter 4.
Aaron rolled over and woke up to Paul shaking him. Get up, lazy bones. It's time to go to work.
As people in the army often say to each other. Slowly but surely, Aaron was able to get up enough energy to sit up in his bed. "What time is it?" he asked.
Is he me? It's 7 a.m. Time to start the day. Wow, they start their day late.
I know, Lauren was in the military. I just always assumed the military just always starts their day really early. I mean, they're sleeping in, they're eating biscuits at like 10 o'clock. And
yeah, man, I should join the army.
I know. Aaron threw the blankets off of him and crawled down from his bunk. Paul was already dressed in his uniform and was brushing his teeth.
Kind of a weird place to brush your teeth, but okay.
"You got up kind of early, didn't you?" Aaron asked his friend.
Yup, we have to be at the Iraqi police station at 8 o'clock this morning, so you need to step on it, Paul replied.
They're doing a lot of fucking training with these cops. Like, what did they do? Like, did Iraq just not have cops? And, like, they just found some dudes in this, like, police academy because Lauren is teaching them?
I like that image.
Because, like, this has been months now, and they've been training these police officers forever, and they're just learning Lauren's way of life. "Why do we have to be there so early?"
Because I have to direct traffic today, and it's expected to be a bit heavier this morning because of the new troops coming through.
"That would figure," Aaron said jokingly. "Leave it to you to mess up my much-needed rest." They're in the army.
What?
They're in the army.
I can see me saying that. But damn.
They're in the army.
Paul patted Aaron on the back and replied, "You know I wouldn't do it if I didn't care."
Now, I mean, I've never been in the Army, so maybe these guys are typically waking up 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, but that's not the image I've always had.
Yeah.
Aaron smiled as he watched his friend walk away and continued to get dressed. I like to imagine he was just standing there, Lorne naked. The morning had gone by rather quickly, and Aaron and Paul sat on the concrete barrier and ate their lunch. Sometimes 30 minutes for lunch just doesn't seem long enough, Aaron said.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Paul replied. Especially when I have to stand in the middle of the street all day directing traffic. It kind of makes defeat a little tender. This is a staff sergeant.
Here we go. Well, at least your feet will match your head. Aaron cajoled. Cajoled.
Oh my gosh.
You tenderhead.
This is great.
You tenderhead.
I can't let you be the only one with a tender brain, Paul retorted.
After they finished eating, they returned to work. Aaron looked forward to the end of the day when him and Paul could go back to the base and give their feet a well-deserved rest.
At 2 o'clock, Aaron came out of the police station and walked to the Humvee and stood waiting for Paul to join him for their afternoon break. Paul saw Aaron and signaled to him that he would be right with him. Aaron waved back to him and turned to open the door to the Humvee when he heard a gunshot. He quickly turned around and looked at his friend. Paul stood there with his hand above his heart and to the left. He looked up at Aaron, stumbled 2 steps towards him in the road, and then collapsed.
Paul! Aaron shouted. Aaron paid no heed to the 2 gunshots that were fired at him as he ran towards his injured friend.
With this image, I like the
hands over his head.
Yeah, just waving like
the hands over his head.
The feet going up, really high, like lifting the knees
like
up high.
like Scooby Doo.
Yes.
Well, zoinks. Okay. When he reached Paul, he bent over and helped his friend to his feet and helped him get behind a car that had been abandoned in the middle of the street after hearing the gunfire. Why would you abandon... You're in a car. Drive, damn it. I don't know. This is out of the brain of Lorne. He helped Paul prop his back against the car as he sat on the ground and lifted up his M16 rifle from his shoulder and took aim in the direction the shots had come from. No, I can't tell exactly where the shots came from, Aaron told Paul as he looked around frantically. No, I'm going to shoot just above the building to scare the sniper. If I'm lucky, he'll shoot again and I'll spot him.
Hurry up and shoot then, Paul demanded.
Aaron took aim just above the building he suspected the shots were fired from. He waited a couple seconds that felt to Paul like hours. There was no return fire. The sniper had disappeared. Aaron turned his attention to his friend. Aaron? That's your line.
Yeah, that's my line. Aaron.
No, I think that's Aaron.
Oh, I'm sorry, fine. Aaron.
Aaron? You got
Paul
a problem?
stuttered.
Aaron? Aaron? Yeah, Paul. I'm here, he replied.
I'm not feeling so well right now.
Hang in there, Paul. The ambulance is on its way and you're gonna be fine. Aaron gave all the encouraging words he could give to his friend to make him feel assured, but he knew himself that Paul was hurt bad. The ambulance arrived and moved Paul into the back and began sticking him with IV needles and setting tubes in place on the way to the base hospital. They did everything they could to keep him stabilized until they got him set up properly at the hospital.
Aaron sat in the waiting room with his hands folded in prayer and tears falling from his eyes.
If only Lorne was this devout, we might not know who he was.
Right? Unsure of what he would do if his friend that had been there for him through the hardest times were to die. He raised his head after ending his prayer with Amen.
No, it's Amen.
All he could do was wait. He paced back and forth in the waiting room. Minutes seemed like hours, and hours seemed like days as Aaron waited word on Paul's condition.
7:45 p.m. The doctor came into the waiting room. He gave Aaron an apologetic look, and Aaron knew that his friend had perished.
We did everything we could do. We thought for a while that he might pull through, but there was just too much loss of blood from his main artery, the doctor explained.
Aaron turned and walked out of the hospital in silence. He spent that night in Paul's bed and let the rain of tears put him to sleep. He was awakened by Baker letting him know that Staff Sergeant Buchanan had called him over the intercom to come to his office. After forcing himself to get up from the bed, he looked down at Paul's bed and remembered that he had fallen asleep there last night because of the loss of his friend, and blocked his mind from going any further in memory to prevent breaking down in tears again. The loss had taken its toll on Aaron. He had done all he could do. He had done all he could do at the time to get Paul to the hospital at the time. All he could do at the time to get Paul to the hospital at the time. Okay. He still couldn't help but beat himself up with what if questions. What if I would have just kept running once I got him to his feet after I helped him from being shot? What if I would have called in for the ambulance before running out to help him to safety? What if I would have been paying more attention at the time to the surroundings? Why wasn't I paying more attention to the surroundings? Why wasn't we wearing our bulletproof gear? He would be alive right now if we had had our bulletproof gear on.
Because you're fucking morons.
I love the grammar. There were 4 editors of this.
I know. I was so thinking that.
Yeah, there were 4 editors.
After a moment, he realized that the questions he had were endless, and he just couldn't understand. He was overwhelmed by the whole thing, and was mentally drained right now. He pulled his mind away from the incident the best he could and continued to get dressed. He moved himself to the latrine to shave and brush his teeth. Wait, so there is a place to brush your teeth?
Yeah, you don't always do it right in front of your lover's bed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
While standing in front of the mirror, shaving, his mind got lost in thought again as he stared blankly at his reflection. He didn't snap out of it until he realized he had cut his cheek from the pressure he had put against the blade.
Yeah, because see, he's a real man. He uses his knife to shave. Aaron knocked on Staff Sergeant Buchanan's office door.
Enter!
Staff Sergeant Buchanan yelled. Opening the door, he moved quietly and steadily to Buchanan's desk and stood in silence as he waited to be addressed by the Staff Sergeant.
Aaron!
Buchanan spoke.
Please, have a seat.
As he sat down, he fought to keep himself from breaking down again because of all the thoughts racing through his mind. That's a new experience for Lauren. His eyes were an ocean of tears ready to flood his cheeks, but somehow he kept them back.
I'm sorry about the loss of Staff Sergeant Pablo. Buchanan spoke again. I know you and him were very close. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like brothers, you might say. I wasn't going to say that one.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say brothers, but okay.
The loss is a great blow to the whole unit. I have written his family and need to ask if you can need to ask if you can put together his personal items to be shipped back to his home. The staff sergeant paused a moment. Then I want you to take the next few days off so you can try to heal from the loss of your friend. I know how hard it is for you right now. I've been through this same type of thing myself before.
The Army is very accommodating.
Very.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, was Aaron's only response as he lifted himself up off the chair and moved towards the door.
Aaron.
Buchanan spoke before Aaron could get out the door. Aaron turned around to look at the staff sergeant. Yes, sir?
If you need someone to talk to, Aaron, "You're more than welcome to come to me."
Buchanan stated to let Aaron know he was there for him. Thank you, sir. It's not just an army. They're also a family.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them lovers.
Yes.
Yeah. Good Lord. Aaron walked back to his dorm where he slowly began the painful task of putting together Paul's personal belongings to be shipped back home to his family. He kept the one picture that he had of him and Paul that was taken in front of the Humvee that they always rode in. When he had all of Paul's personal effects together, he brought them to Staff Sergeant Buchanan and returned back to his bunk where he spent the rest of the day and night in bed, most of the time staring off into space while his mind wandered through the past.
Aaron returned to work a few days later. Still not back to himself, he returned to work anyway. As hard as he tried to let things return to normal for him, he felt it was near impossible without Paul there with him. There were times when Aaron had some close calls of being shot or blown up because his mind would drift back to watching Paul get shot.
I like to imagine Lauren just absent-mindedly walking through a minefield.
And falling on the ground before him. He began having a hard time focusing on his job, but no longer felt anything when he killed or had to witness someone else be killed, including those from his own unit. Finally, the strain became too much as he was in the field one day and witnessed 3 children that were playing with a ball become insurgent targets and were blown up only 30 feet from where he stood. Aaron stood paralyzed and had to be moved physically by 2 unit teammates. As they grabbed his arms to haul him to safety, Aaron began to resist and tried to run toward the departed children, but his 2 teammates overpowered him and forced him to safety.
I mean, just
Am I
like
reading it dramatic enough? I'm trying.
yeah, I think you're putting exactly the right amount of drama into this stupidity. Because I mean, just like Lauren himself, Aaron does not do anything logical.
No. Chapter 5.
Aaron looked up at the clock above the door of his room. It read 1:45 p.m. In just a few hours, he would be on a plane and headed for home. He'd spent the last 3 months in the psychiatric ward. Boy, that jumped quickly, huh?
It did. It did.
One minute he's watching kids get blown up. The next minute he's about to be discharged from the psych ward. He'd spent the last 3 months in the psychiatric ward of the hospital trying to get back to a normal state of mind. The doctor had told him the images that he had seen and the echoes and the cries that he had heard would never leave him, and that there was no way anyone could make him forget what had happened. Well, that's reassuring.
You're right. I feel better already. Thanks, Doc.
Sorry, your only choice is PTSD. There's no counseling, nothing you can do about it. So just get to murdering. I mean,
stick around for 3 months and then I'll send you home. Have fun.
Send you home. Have fun with the murders. See, the only thing anyone could do was help him learn how to deal with them so that he could continue on with his life in a somewhat normal way. It's been 3 months since he lost it in the field, which we didn't get to see him losing it in the field, but we just have to take his word for it. But in his mind, it felt like it had just happened yesterday.
I like to imagine that he ripped out of his teammates' arms and took off running to the field and just held their pieces in his arms while screaming to the heavens.
Kayla!
Derek! Sorry.
Fucking cuddles. Oh, God.
Winnie!
He began to wonder if he was ready to leave the hospital and be in society without supervision. Well, I mean, all these years later, you're not ready, Lauren. The last thing he wanted to do was to hurt an innocent person because of an unconscious state of mind. Well, at least he'll never even mean to do it.
Yeah, right?
No, he said as he looked in the mirror of the small bathroom. No, I'm ready. The doctor wouldn't release me if he didn't think I was ready. Maybe they're just sick of you. Maybe you're just an asshole. He pulled on his thin jacket, went to the bed, closed his suitcase, and picked it up along with his briefcase full of papers, and then walked out the door. On his way to the checkout desk, because it's a hotel, He met a nurse in the hall that had helped the doctor with Aaron while he had been there. He talked to her for a few minutes and then she gave him a hug and wished him luck as he lifted his suitcase from the floor and started towards the checkout desk.
Aaron took one last look around before he boarded the plane. He never really thought he'd be at all upset about leaving the place where he had lost so much of himself. But he felt a strained feeling in his stomach because he was leaving what he had grown used to in a year and leaving people behind that he grew to care about.
Well, the only person he grew to care about's dead.
Yeah. He didn't feel right about leaving. He felt like his job here was still unfinished, but could not do anything about it. He looked down at the ground in front of him, and then made his way up the portable staircase and entered the airplane that would carry him back to the States. He found his way to his seat and prepared for the plane to take off, and then stared out the window at the country that was full of turmoil. When the plane began to roll down the runway, he muttered to himself,
This is it. No more madness. This is where I need to try and start my life over again. A hell of a chore that's going to be. He closed his eyes and let his mind drift away as the plane began lifting higher and higher in the air. When the plane finally leveled out, Aaron took a couple pictures out of his family. He prayed that he could be the person they expected him to be. He always did his best to make his mother proud of what he'd done, but this was altogether different. Maybe not for her, but it was for him. He put the pictures away, then lost himself in peaceful thoughts as he looked out the window at the sight of the fluffy white clouds that looked like cotton, and it made him feel like he was sitting in heaven. He thought of Paul as he slipped off to sleep and wondered if this is what Paul was viewing in heaven.
The flight was long after making 3 flight changes before...
In the middle of the ocean?
Yes.
Okay.
Before finally landing in Indiana... Yeah. Speak.
Indianapolis.
Get through this.
Okay.
In Indianapolis, Indiana. 23 hours and 13 minutes long, to be exact. God damn.
Well, I mean, it is from the Middle East to the Midwest. That is a long flight.
Still. Oh, God, I couldn't imagine taking that long. He was tired and relieved when he set his first foot down on the soil of his home country. He hadn't gotten much sleep on the plains, and he was anxious to get home and get in his own bed after so long of sleeping on Army-issued bunks.
I like to imagine him kind of like in Castaway when he got home.
Yeah.
He's just like sleeping on the floor staring at a picture of Paul.
There was a large crowd of people in the airport to welcome the troops home as they walked in the door. He shook the hands of many people that showed support for him and for the rest of the troops. After getting about 3/4 of the way through the crowd, Aaron caught a glimpse of his mother and began moving toward her with a happy but nervous smile on his face. Before he could set his bags down, she threw her arms around him, and he felt her joy and relief that he was home.
I'm so happy I made it home safely, she muttered to him. Was he home safely? He thought to himself. Did he really make it? These are quotes. These are quotes. This is him thinking in the third person. These are quotes. Did he really make it home safely? Nor was the person that was his mother knew before still... Did I read that wrong? Did he really make it home safely? Or was the person that his mother knew before still left in Iraq while another Aaron, a damaged beyond repair Aaron, came home in his place? Could he hold up to their expectations that stood before him in this world that had been without him for a long, horror-filled year? A long, horror-filled... They had been without him for a long, horror-filled year? What was going on in Indianapolis?
I thought they were celebrating.
I thought they were fine. I thought the horror was taking place in Iraq. All right, okay. He pushed the thoughts from his head when his mother moved away from him and lifted up his briefcase. Let's get you home,
she said with a broad smile on her face and a tear of joy rolling down her aged and worried cheek. Aaron picked up his suitcase and followed her to the car, waving and saying thank you to people that gave him praise as they walked by him.
Because this is like returning from World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He set his suitcase in the trunk and closed it, then went around to the passenger side of the car and sat himself upon the soft, warm leather seat. His mother, already sitting in the driver's side, started the engine and gave him a quick, proud glance. She realized he was deep in thought when he had his head down and his eyes closed.
Lorne, are you all right?
She asked him with a worried look on her face. Aaron opened his eyes and looked at her. She saw a tear falling down his cheek.
No, I don't deserve all this attention,
he told her.
All these people are here praising me and the other soldiers. Well, there are people dying over there still.
He looked away at the parking area, then back at his mother again. He saw the worried look on her face, so he changed gears quickly to assure her that he was fine.
No, I'm sorry, Mom. Let's go home.
That was reassuring.
Yeah.
He said to her with a smile that he wondered if she could see that he had to paint on.
Well, I mean, he had the paintbrush in his hand.
She put the car in gear, and they quickly made their way out of the airport parking lot and onto the highway that would take them home. Moving the car in the right lane to get on the off-ramp, she began making small conversation with him to get his mind off whatever he was thinking about.
I'll tell you what, you can read for Lauren, okay?
Okay.
So, how was the flight back to the States?
She inquired. It was good. A little bumpy at times, but some turbulence is expected in a flight as long as that one, he replied.
I hope you don't mind, but I redecorated your room. I painted it blue with red and white border paper. It also has the old brown carpet replaced with a light blue one, she described.
I don't mind. It sounds pretty nice. That brown carpet was old anyway. It needed to be replaced.
Yeah, and I wish I had the money to do it when you were still in school, but money was tight then, she replied.
Are you trying to tell me that I was expensive?
Aaron asked with a joking tone in his voice. No, I wouldn't say a thing like that, she joked back at him with a wink of her eye and a pat on his leg. Do you think that that's how Mama Gwen interacts with people?
Oh, gosh, no.
No, she's more like get your head out your ass.
He gave her a smile and moved his eyes back to the road. He all of the sudden,
yes,
got covered in a cold sweat, and his heart began racing when his mother slowed to make a right-hand turn, and he saw his friend Paul standing on the corner in uniform with an M16 rifle resting on his shoulder. Aaron rubbed his eyes quickly and looked again. Gone. Nobody there at all. What was that all about? He wondered. He looked over at his mother to see if she had seen the panic all over him. Thank God she had her attention focused on the road. He did his best to quickly calm his heart rate and remove the sweat from his face without giving away any hint of something happening.
As she slowed the car to turn into the driveway, Aaron read the big sign that had stretched from one tree to the other on the opposite sides of the driveway. It read, "Welcome home, Aaron," in big red and blue letters with a white background. Looking at his mother in appreciation, he leaned over and gave her a kiss on the cheek. Thank you, Mom. Oh, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. Now, Aaron, I'm the one that should be thanking you, she said with a serious tone in her voice.
For what? He asked.
For being born, she replied.
I don't think I've ever thanked my son for being born. Does that make me a terrible person?
Yes.
Well, shit.
Yes, here. Hey. John. Yeah, see, this is time you correct this right now, all right?
I'm sorry.
Right in front of everybody. You're going to have to correct this. Yes.
I want to apologize to you. I have done you a great disservice. I want to thank you for being born.
I'm leaving now.
That wasn't as touching as I had hoped it would be.
Well, there you go.
God, it's because it came too late. No, wait.
Well, you did it
Wait,
wrong.
how
You
old
did.
is he?
Look, you did it wrong. You did it wrong, okay? Look, he watched a tear roll from her eye and down her cheek and realized how lucky he was to have a mother like her. See, if you'd have been crying...
I'm about to start crying because I can't stop laughing.
After the car came to a stop, they both got... This car's going up the driveway this whole time. After the car came to a stop, they both got out and walked to the trunk to retrieve Aaron's bags. Oh my God, you're about to see everybody in this town's an asshole.
All right.
Okay. They closed the trunk and walked towards the house, his mother fumbling through her purse on the way to find the key to unlock the door. After she had the door unlocked, she walked in with Aaron in tow. Setting his bags on the floor in front of him, she flipped the white switch next to the entrance yeah. And let me say that again. Setting his bags on the floor in front of him, he flipped the light switch next to the entrance door to the on position. Now, this man is returning from a war zone, and he spent the last 3 months in a mental health facility because he had, quote, lost it in the field after watching insurgents blow up children.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, just like in any 90s sitcom, surprise! A chorus of yells come from people jumping out from hiding spaces. And it startled Aaron. They wanted to kill this man.
They did.
No wonder he gets to the murders.
Yeah, right?
These people are pricks. His face turned pale against the unexpected event, and he had to quickly regain himself from the flashbacks of Iraqi insurgent attacks. See what I'm telling you? Wiping the sweat from his clammy hands, he worked up a smile and began shaking hands and giving warm hugs to friends and family that had gathered together for his return from the war.
His mother had all kinds of food set out on the table and counter, most of which were favorites of his that his mother made special. There was chicken pie, butterscotch Rice Krispie Squares, Reese's Peanut Butter Squares, vanilla cream puffs, apple pies, chocolate cake, mashed potatoes mixed with corn and ham cubes, spare ribs with Mountain Dew. Please tell me that's on the side. Oh, he's bad with commas. Okay, I got it. Spare ribs with Mountain Dew, punch, and water to wash it all down with.
Now, whenever you've come from a party and you were describing what things were there, have you ever felt the need to include that there was water?
No.
Like, that's just a given, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I go over to my friend's house, I can pretty much guarantee that water is a beverage option.
Yeah?
I'm not going to come back and be like, oh, man, it was great, you know. It was great, you know. We had fried chicken for dinner, and you know, I got water straight from the tap. It was great.
Yeah. Everyone had their turn talking to Aaron and asking all kinds of questions about being over in Iraq and everything we were doing there. He felt like a broken record after answering most of the same questions 5 or 6 times over. Some of the questions hit him hard, and he did his best at answering them without breaking into tears. But most of the questions that were asked were ones that he'd expected people to ask him anyway.
It was about 10:30 p.m. before the last couple of people finally shook Aaron's hand and gave him a hug before walking out the door to go home.
I'd have kicked him along before
No
that.
kidding. He just got off the airplane.
Yeah.
Before, let's see. He was happy when he was finally able to get in the shower and soak his head to try and rid himself of the headache that had developed with the rush of questions over the evening. When he got out of the shower, he dried himself off and put on his night clothes and then stood looking at himself in the mirror. Will I be able to find the same man that I used to be before I went to Iraq? Or are all these images of the war going to haunt me more as time goes on? He asked himself. He let his head fall down and closed his eyes in a silent prayer. After saying, Amen, He lifted his head back up to take one last look in the mirror at himself before finding his way down the hall to his bedroom. Is he trying to be the same kid he was in high school?
Maybe?
Because, I mean, that's what he keeps saying. I mean, I guess what he means is, am I going to ever not have PTSD?
Yeah.
Is what he means to say, I guess. He's just... But when he left, he was a high school kid.
Yes.
Like, he's not going to be a high school kid anymore.
His mother had already decided to retire for the night, and she would clean up from the party the next morning, so he had already said good night to her. After climbing into bed and turning the light out, he laid there, looking up into the dark, and let his mind drift back in time to when he and Paul were playing basketball, and Paul had accidentally poked him in the eye, making his eye turn black and blue. God damn, that was a forceful poke.
I know, right?
Aaron smiled at the memory and wished his friend had made it back home alive instead of inside a decorated pine box that was to be placed in the ground. He had difficulty sleeping all night, and he tossed and turned when he finally did fall asleep from the dreams he was having. When morning finally shone in from the window, Aaron stumbled into the kitchen with his eyes still half closed.
Good morning, his mother said in a gentle tone.
Good morning, he returned.
By the looks of you, you should be back in bed for another 8 hours, she said as she set a fresh, hot cup of coffee on the placemat in front of him.
Thank you. I didn't sleep too well last night, he replied. If I stay up all day today, I'll be able to sleep better tonight.
Would you like for me to stop by the drugstore and get you something to help you sleep tonight? She asked.
No, that won't be necessary. Thank you anyway, Mom, he answered after taking his first sip of the hot coffee.
What do you want to do today? She asked him.
I think I just want to stay home today and get over this jet lag. It will feel nice to just relax and try to get some things off my mind.
All right, well, I have to run some errands, so I'll be back this afternoon, she explained.
Okay. Drive careful, he demanded.
No. You need to read that as a demand.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Drive careful, he demanded.
Demanded. No, I will. Oh. Mama Gwen had a lobotomy. I will.
He stood and gave his mom a kiss on the cheek before she walked out and then closed the door behind her.
Probably wiped it right off like in the Land Before Time commercial.
Yeah. After watching her drive away, he poured himself another cup of coffee, sat down on the couch, and hit the power button on the remote control to the television. He didn't even finish the first one. He had a sip.
Yeah.
Yes, it's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
He had to fill back that sip.
It's important.
He flipped through the channels until he found one with the world news on it. Curious if there were any reports about the war. He was on that channel for nearly 30 minutes before they mentioned anything about the war, and he had almost fallen asleep.
Because, if you're dealing with PTSD issues from the war, that probably is the healthiest thing to do, is sit and look for information about the war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He rubbed his eyes and sat up straight after falling back into a slouch so he wouldn't miss anything they had to update about the war. His eyes grew wide, his hands became clammy, and his heart rate picked up as he began watching images on the television of a suicide bombing that killed 22 people in Baghdad. It brought back sickening memories for Aaron, and tears began to fall from his already tired eyes.
Maybe I should change the channel, he thought. But he wanted to see what was going on over there. Being back home didn't make him feel separated from the country he had just left. It only made him feel stripped of the chance of being able to regain his sanity for himself and for the innocent people of Iraq. And he was afraid that that might play heavily on keeping himself from going insane. After all, a person is usually filled with self-guilt when they don't complete a task they set out to do. Lauren must be the guiltiest motherfucker on earth. Look at that trailer. God damn. Was this going to happen to him? Was he going to drive himself to insanity because he was deprived of finishing a job he swore to himself he was going to finish? He swore to himself he was going to fight the whole war in Iraq?
What? Maybe.
Or is he filled with guilt because of the horrible way he'd witnessed people dying in front of him and he couldn't stop it? That question made frightening and disgusting images appear in his memory and brought what he felt, the cold hard truth, into the open. Those people had died because he wasn't where he should have been. He should have realized that things were going too smoothly on those days, that things were just too quiet at those times, and he was just too relaxed in doing his job. Unconsciously, his mouth fell open as these thoughts filled his head. Just then the phone rang and snapped Aaron out of his transfixed state of mind. He wiped his eyes of the tears that he just realized had filled them. He cleared his throat before picking up the portable telephone and hitting the talk button. Hello? Hi, this is Mom, she stated.
Aaron tried to disguise any sign of emotional problems he had just been having when he heard his mother's voice. He didn't want her to think that something was wrong and become worried. Hi, Mom. What's up? He asked, bringing forward a more cheerful tone to his voice.
Not much, she answered. What are you doing?
Watching a little TV and relaxing, he answered.
Good. I thought I'd give you a quick call and see was there anything you needed while I was out and about. I forgot to ask you before I left this morning, she explained. No, she didn't.
No, I'm fine, but thank you for thinking about me, though.
You're welcome. I'll see you when I get home.
Okay, bye, and drive careful. Aaron hung up the phone with a sigh of relief that he had been able to put his issue past his mother that time, even though it was a very strained effort to do so. He lifted his head up to the ceiling, closed his eyes, and began running through what he was thinking about before the phone had snapped him out of it, because that's the smart thing to do.
Oh, well, I mean, this is Lorne.
Yeah.
Those were ridiculous thoughts I had, he said out loud to himself. There's no way I could possibly have known what was going to happen. He looked at the television and saw the news report about Iraq had ended, so he flipped the channel to country music videos, laid himself down on the couch, and drifted off to sleep. The sound of a car horn blaring in the driveway snapped him out of his sleep and made him snap up quickly from the couch. His nerves were on end for a few long seconds until he remembered where he was at, and that it was his mother honking the horn in the driveway. He opened the door to find his mother loading up her arms with grocery bags, so he slipped on his shoes and hurried out to help her carry them in. You look like you just woke up, she stated.
I did. What time is it? He asked.
It's a little after 4 in the afternoon, she answered.
Wow. I guess I really must have been tired.
Well, you had a long flight, so that probably wore you out.
Well, I feel a lot better now, Aaron explained as he stretched and yawned before taking an armful of grocery bags.
Good. Does that mean you helped me cook dinner? She asked with a smile on her face.
Yeah, I guess it does. Aaron smiled at his mom because he could tell she just wanted him to help her so they could spend some quality time together. He was happy she missed him.
No.
What are we having for dinner? He inquired.
I thought we might make a pizza, then play some cards or something. Would you be interested in that?
That sounds good to me. Sounds relaxing, too. So it's the perfect way to finish out the day.
You imagine if people really talk like that?
Yeah, right? He replied as she fit one more bag of groceries into his already full arms.
Good, let's get these groceries inside and get started on our pizza. They finished carrying the rest of the groceries and began making the pizza. After eating, they played a few games of rummy, and she got Aaron caught up on all the gossip of the family and told him stories of happenings at bingo and at her work. You know, all the old lady things.
Yeah.
He completely enjoyed himself, and she took his mind away from Iraq, and it helped him to relax easier. She never asked him anything about his time in Iraq while they spent their quality time together. Maybe she could see he was bothered by guilt and the horrible images and memories from the war, and he needed a few hours where he could escape from it all and be himself again. Funny how mothers could always see the most inner parts of their children when nobody else had a clue that something was wrong. Is that like a sixth sense mothers have?
Maybe. I didn't get the handbook. I don't know.
Yeah.
So is that why my toe twitches sometimes?
It could be.
It was after 1 o'clock in the morning when they finally put away 1 o'clock
1 o'clock in the morning?
When they finally put away the deck of cards and turned the lights out. Aaron was tired again, even though he had gotten a lot of sleep that day. He got out of his clothes, pulled back the covers, and climbed into bed, feeling good about the time he'd spent with his mother. It wasn't long before he was fast asleep and lost in an endless night of tossing and turning.
Aren't those contradictory?
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron woke up to the smell of bacon, eggs, and biscuits flowing across his nose. He pulled some pants on, threw a shirt on, and groggily slipped into his slippers. He stumbled clumsily down the hall and into the kitchen toward the coffee pot. After pouring himself a cup of coffee and spilling a quarter of it on the counter, he toned in to his mother as she spoke.
"You're not the most graceful person in the morning, are you?" she said sarcastically. That doesn't seem sarcastic. That seems like matter of fact.
Yeah. Aaron groaned as he fumbled with ripping off a couple of sheets of paper towels to sop up the mess from overfilling his coffee cup. I've definitely had mornings where I've conjured up more coordination than what I have this morning, he retorted.
He threw the coffee-soaked paper towels in the trash, added some cream and sugar to his coffee, and shuffled his lazy... Good Lord, I can't even read now. I've got 87 brain. Good God. Okay, and shuffled his feet lazily to the kitchen table. Just imagine he's just dragging his slippers around.
Yeah.
With his coffee in hand, his mother set a plate in front of him, filled with 4 strips of bacon, 3 sunny side-up eggs, and 1 steaming biscuit that was just pulled from the oven, along with a tall glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Man, his mom's busy in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Or so it said on the carton. It didn't take him long to devour the food and down his orange juice. Once he finished eating, he began pouring his wake-up juice back into himself.
So he only got 1 biscuit?
Yeah, I guess Mama Gwen just makes 1 biscuit per person.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just fat, okay? And if I am, it is okay to say so. But 4 strips of bacon, 3 sunny side eggs, and 1 biscuit sounds like a pitiful breakfast.
Yeah, I'd probably want 2 biscuits. And where's the hash browns? Come on, Mama Gwen.
Yeah, some sausages in there.
Yeah, come on. This needs to be a Denny's, okay?
Yeah, right?
Where's the French toast? Where's the moons over my hammy?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Come on, Mama Gwen. This isn't very good.
Maybe she was still tuckered out from the feast the other day.
Well, so they had the party where presumably she made probably most of the food. I imagine maybe it's potluck style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then she did all of the cleanup,
Mm-hmm.
right? He gets up. They have their little flirty breakfast. She goes on to run her errands. He lays around sleeping. They stay up till 1 a.m. playing cards, and he goes to bed. He gets up, and she's already been up making breakfast.
Yep.
Because that's what moms do.
Not this mom.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hey, that's not fair. I made cinnamon rolls today.
Yeah, at like noon.
It counts. It still counts.
Are you going to do anything today, or are you going to rest another day? His mother asked.
No, I'm going to go see my friend Derek today, he replied.
You better not be macking on my honey.
I also might go to the veteran cemetery. After that, I'm going to come back, make some calls, and see if I can find out where my friend Paul is buried. Wouldn't you do that before?
No. You go there just on the off chance.
Oh, okay.
Would you like me to be home with you when you make the calls? She asked with a look of concern on her face.
What else is she gonna do? What life does she have?
Well, she has a job, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she filled him in on the gossip at work and bingo. So she has a job.
No. I'll be fine.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you for asking, though.
All right, then. I'm headed to work now if you're all set. My number to the office is on the refrigerator in case you need me for anything.
Have a good day, Mom.
You too, and be careful, she added.
I will, Aaron replied.
He gave her a kiss on the cheek before she walked to the door and then turned and headed for the shower. Feeling the hot water rush all over his head and body was refreshing and relaxing, and it revitalized his energy that he had lost from the long flight across the ocean. After getting dressed, he poured himself another cup of coffee, walked outside and stood next to his car, and let the heat from the sunlight soak onto his face. This was one of his favorite times of the day, when the sun was just beginning to heat up the earth, and it was a comfortable temperature. He finished his coffee and returned his cup to the house before heading off to visit his friend Derek. As he was driving, he took in all the greenery besides the road that he hadn't been able to enjoy for the past year. It was nice to see the things again. It helped to ease off the tension of his muscles that had been growing that morning. He saw Derek sitting outside on his porch peeling potatoes for his mother. Derek stood up when Aaron got out of the car and greeted his longtime friend.
Hey, Aaron, I heard you were back. Wait, he wasn't at the party?
No.
That was his best friend.
No, his best friend said, fuck you. Yeah.
Derek stated as he set down the potato peeler and reached out to shake Aaron's hand.
Yeah, no, I just got back 2 days ago, Aaron replied.
How have you been doing, Derek?
Oh,
sorry.
This is just another random, okay. How have you been doing, Derek?
Good. Come up on the porch. I'll get another peeler. You can help me peel these potatoes while we talk.
How the hell many potatoes do they have to peel? All right, Aaron answered with a slight smile, knowing Derek just wanted someone to help him so he could get finished with them quicker.
It's not like anyone sees a pile of potatoes and is like, sweet!
Yeah, he probably wasn't doing it for fun. Aaron sat down in the chair across from the one that Derek had occupied when he arrived. When Derek returned with a second peeler and a couple glasses filled with ice and Coke, he asked, You must be happy to Oh, this is Derek.
You must be happy to finally be home, huh?
Yeah, kind of. I like being over there too, though. Aaron's mind began to drift in thought a little, and Derek noticed it.
I know it must be a little hard on you. I've heard some stories about some of the things people go through over there, so if you don't want to talk about any of it, I understand.
Thank you, Derek. No, I appreciate that, Aaron replied. They sat and talked for a couple of hours while they peeled potatoes.
Oh my god!
It's like an image from again, like the World War II Army, where somebody's on KP or something, and they've got to sit there and peel potatoes for the mess hall. Like hours?
Oh,
how the hell many potatoes are they eating?
Oh my gosh! Oh, this is getting great.
Yeah, Derek caught Aaron up on what he had been doing since graduation, and plus let him in on what he knew about some of the other friends from school. Aaron stayed and ate lunch with Derek, probably potatoes, and then went back home so he could start making calls to find out where his friend Paul was buried.
Once he found a blank piece of paper, he pulled open the drawer to where his mother kept the phone book. He pulled it out and set it on the table and began thumbing through the pages until he found the phone number for Veteran Affairs. He removed the portable phone from its base and began punching in the numbers. He held the phone against his ear with his shoulder as he put the phone book back in the drawer and waited for the call to be answered.
I mean, he does paint an image there. It's just a damn shame we don't know what any of these people look like.
Yeah. Veteran Affairs, how may I direct your call? The voice on the other end asked.
Hi, Aaron replied. Because I'm imagining it's a woman.
Yeah, right.
I need to find out where a friend of mine is buried, and I'm not sure who it is that I need to talk to for information.
Hold on and I'll connect you to the proper department, the operator answered.
Aaron waited patiently and listened to the hold music while he waited for the operator to connect him with the person he needed to talk to. After a few minutes of waiting, the music stopped and a young-sounding voice came over the other end of the line.
Veteran of
No, do Kayla.
I need some water first. Veteran Affairs, this is Valerie.
Hi, my name is Aaron Johnson. Is this the first time we found out his last name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I think it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I need to find out where my friend is buried and wanted to know if you could help me out with that.
Yes, I can. What is his name?
Staff Sergeant Paul Pablo.
Wait, now it's Pablo?
Yeah, now it's
it
Pablo.
Was Pablo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron replied as he held back the hurt in his throat.
Where was he last stationed? She asked.
In Mosul, Iraq. Mosul? I don't know how to pronounce that word. Mosul.
I think it's Mosul, but it's correct.
Mosul, maybe.
I don't know.
I think it's Mosul. I don't know.
If we apologize if we're butchering it.
Yes, for our Iraqi listeners, I'm sorry that we have butchered the name of your hometown.
We're terrible people.
Yeah, that's where he was killed. Also.
Give me just a few minutes while I put you on hold and find out information for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Aaron waited patiently and listened to a different song from the hold music than he heard from the last time he was on hold. Thank God he told us.
Yeah.
He wrote down the words, Paul's grave, on the piece of paper and traced the letters a second time while he waited and thought. Finally, the music stopped and Valerie returned on the line. Hello, Mr. Johnson? Valerie spoke.
Yes, Aaron replied.
I've located your friend. The computer is telling me that he is buried at Mount Pleasant Cemetery in Huntington, Indiana.
Aaron wrote the information Valerie had given him on the paper in front of him and thanked her for her help. He looked at the information again as he pressed the off button on the phone. Well, thank God we know he hung it up. Took in a deep breath and then let it out heavily. He walked down the hall to his bedroom, removed his clothes, and got dressed in his military uniform. He stopped by the flower shop on the way and picked up a bouquet of flowers for Paul's grave, along with a couple small American flags to stick on both sides of the headstone.
Once he found the cemetery, he parked his car and began walking around in search of Paul's gravestone. After 30 minutes of searching, he found it located at the bottom of the big hill under a maple tree, about 30 feet from a stream that ran alongside the cemetery. He placed the bouquet of flowers in front of the headstone, next to some others that someone had left there, then stabbed the long sticks with the small American flags on them into the ground on either side of the gravestone. After putting the flags in place, he sat down on the grass in front of the headstone. He looked down and plucked a couple of strands of grass from the ground, then looked back up at the headstone with his eyes full of tears as he began talking to Paul Stone.
Blah, blah, stone, blah, blah, stone, blah, blah, stone, blah, blah, stone is how that went, right?
Yeah.
I made it home alive, Paul. I wish you were here with me. It would be really nice to have someone to talk to about my feelings inside. I feel like a completely different person. I feel like I'm trapped inside myself and it's driving me crazy. I try my best to hide it, but I think sometimes people can tell something's wrong with me, especially my mom. It's hard to hide things from her, but I can't talk to her about what I'm feeling, either because she didn't go through the things that we went through. Oh, I read that wrong. Can't talk to her either because she didn't go through the same things we went through. Nobody can understand that feeling unless they've been there. I'm afraid it might be driving me insane. On my way home from the airport, And I swear I saw you standing on the side of the road where we rounded a corner. You were standing there in your uniform holding a rifle. And it kind of threw me when that happened. No, I'm not sure what it was about or if it was about anything, but it's let me know that I may never be normal again. Well, I guess I better be heading back home before my mother thinks something's happened to me. And I can constantly see how worried she is about me. Goodbye, my friend. Aaron stood up and brushed off some of the loose grass from the seat of his pants, then stood at attention to salute his friend's grave. After letting his arm down, he wiped another tear from his eye and turned and made his way back to his car.
Aaron regained his composure on his way home. He was able to have a good, solid conversation with his mother about how his day was and how her day was. I feel a little better now that I was able to go visit Paul's grave. It's in a nice location, he told her.
That's good. I know you must have had a hard time with it, though. So if you want to talk about anything, you know that I'm here for you, she told him without pressure. She knew it wouldn't do him any good to be pressured into talking about what he was feeling. All it would do is make it harder for him to deal with what he went through and what he was going through.
Thank you, Mom. And I appreciate it. But it's too deep for me to talk about right now, he replied with regret.
Okay. Whenever you feel ready, I'm here, she said, trying to comfort him.
Aaron quickly moved the conversation by asking her if she knew what the weather was going to be tomorrow. But before she could answer, the telephone rang. His mother picked the phone up off of its base and pressed the talk button.
Hello?
Hi, Mrs. Johnson. This is Derek. Is Aaron there? He asked.
Yes, he is, she answered. Hold on 1 second. She handed the phone over to Aaron. It's Derek, she informed him. Hey, Derek. What's up? Aaron asked his old high school friend.
Hey, Aaron. I wanted to see what you were doing on Friday night.
Nothing that I know of right now, Aaron answered.
If I see you up on a blind date, would you want to go?
Yeah, I guess, Aaron replied in surprise.
Good. Can you be ready by 8?
Sure.
Good. The girl's name is Brooke. She's 20 years old. You're going on a double date with me and my girlfriend Amy. Brooke is Amy's friend, Derek explained.
Okay, Aaron answered.
Alright, I'll talk to you on Friday, Derek stated before hanging up his end of the phone.
Bye. Aaron pressed the off button on the phone and placed it back on his base. What did he want? Aaron's mother asked.
He wanted to know if I wanted to go on a double date with him and his girlfriend Amy and her friend Brooke, Aaron replied to his mom with a smirk.
And you going? She asked.
Yes. You didn't have anything special planned for me on Friday night that you didn't tell me about yet, did you? He asked.
Well, I was going to take you. Nope. I'm ready to get you out of the fucking house. Nope. I think it's great that you've got a date. I hope you have fun, she replied with a smile.
Yeah. You're just hoping for grandchildren, huh? He asked jokingly.
Maybe, but whatever you do, make sure the woman you have children with is the one that you really want to be with, though, his mother added.
I will, Mom. Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to be stuck with just anyone. Aaron smiled at his mom, being so protective of his future.
That is a statement that would not hold up very well.
We did it.
We did it. That's 4 and 5 down. And I only had a few bouts of 87 brain in that, but you gotta admit, this is kind of hard stuff to sit here and try and read.
It is. The way he writes is so hard to follow.
It's the same thing as with the Holy Laurenography. It's like the way his brain works.
Yeah.
Like with some of the recent robot or thruple calls, and he's like, why didn't you tell him that you have a boyfriend and it's me? And finally, even Casey's like, why? You could have just said, why didn't you tell him I'm your boyfriend?
Yeah.
You know, it just has this weird way of putting everything. It gets you tongue-tied. Plus, he doesn't use punctuation correctly.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, enjoy. Kiss, kiss.